Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is the Hope and Her podcast, and we are excited about being here this morning. I'm Dr. Joy. I am Dr. Joy, and it is Monday morning at 6 a.m., right? So we had a little bit of time to prep in the background. Just wanted to be ready when it was when it was time, and look at me being ready. Um, so we have a great show planned for today. So first of all, want to thank everybody for joining us. When you're coming in, as you're coming in, make sure you say hi to us. Got to get these comments under control. Make sure that you say hi to us so that we can say hi back to you because your hi matters. As a matter of fact, you're going to meet the person who I got that from. In today's show, I'm excited about our guest today. I'm excited about every guest that says yes to something that is happening at 6 a.m. because it is 6 a.m. Um, this segment on the Hope and Her podcast is entitled First Fruits to 40. The whole point of this movement is to be able to talk about whatever it is we talk about. We talk about what we talk about, and it is our offering. And that means whatever it is. We've talked about health, wealth, money. We've talked about our bodies. We've talked about, I don't know, there have been lots and lots of topics, mental health topics. There have been uh, getting out of God's way topics. We get out of God's way on Wednesdays, and Sundays is self love and all the things. So excited about just what has been coming forth. God gave me this idea, and it just really is proven to just do its own thing. Um, and I love a good surprise. So, all right, y'all. Let me introduce my first, well, not my first guest, my only guest, my guest this morning, who is and I'll let her tell her how we met, but she is a coach. She is a strategist. She's a sales strategist. She does luxury retreats. Um, what else? I mean, I could just go down the list. She is an autism mama. All the things, right? So, without further ado, let me introduce my colleague, my friend, coach, Dr. Allie Griffith.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. I've been trying to every morning I have to do this privacy thing to get the audience to change
Mhm.
so that I can see these comments. Um,
Understood.
but then
Understood.
I forget it. Good morning, Sweeney. Sweeney been rocking with us since she found the show. She has been rocking with us. So good
Amen.
morning, good morning,
Amen.
good
Good
morning,
morning, sis.
good morning, good morning. Um, so those of you who are out there, say hi to us. Y'all know I'll be like, your hi matters. Well, I got that from Dr. Alley. So, and I tell people that that's where that came from. It's because it
Amen.
really is important. It changes the mood when somebody says hi to you. It puts a little extra energy in the room, a little pep in your step. Um, so it's important. So yes, say hi. Uh, Dawn says, God morning, ladies. I'm pretty sure it's a typo, but also after yesterday, it may not be. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, Dr. Allie, how are you this morning?
I feel blessed. I'm up at 6 a.m. Can we just give honor and glory for that being up for the
Dr.
6
Allie said, I
a.m.
want to be
podcast?
celebrated for being up at 6 a.m. Let me celebrate up and ready because there's a difference between being up, but
That part.
being
Yeah.
up and camera ready at 6 a.m. I was telling them yesterday. I've been telling for like the last 5 days. Like I celebrate anybody that do anything every day, at any time, but definitely a morning thing. So,
Yeah, but
um,
actually, I mean, like I'm up at 6 a.m., but it's usually like my quiet time. So to be
yeah,
up and ready to talk and ready to share out loud and be vibrant, it's like, okay, all right, God, let's go.
right, right, right. That's been my thing. Like I've have to because I'm not a quick waker up or like I like to dawdle. So like I have to start waking at 4 a.m. to make sure that by 6 a.m. like I'm like, hey y'all. Because I like to lay and chill a little
Thanks.
bit.
You got people that are up with you, and I've seen you've been rocking this show. So, hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I'm up. I'm here. I'm blessed. Thank you, God, for another day. Thank you, Dr. Joy, for inviting me on to your first fruits. Sorry it took me so long, but I
Man, listen. The
going
fact that you're
on.
here, I still have to say I'm a tiny bit surprised. Not that you would say yes, but I know it's 6 a.m. Like, and I know what I
It
know.
was a yes. It was a yes from day one. However, in New York, the first week in September, we're getting our kids together to school. Second week, it was my birthday. Still celebrating my birthday,
It's your
Virgo
birthday,
season.
girl. Happy birthday, girl, or whatever the song say.
So, and then I wanted to give a lot of homage to the other ladies that have been coming in and popping in. I've got some opportunity to listen to some of your conversations, and I just want to celebrate you for your obedience in offering your first fruits. And for Sleedia, Dawn, whoever catches this on replay, I want to thank you for just being obedient to being here and supporting her, because we need other people on the other side to let us know that we're being obedient. At least one other person lets us know, okay, we good. We'll keep going.
Right. Right. There's a reason for us to be here today. Um, so and I think that's where our topic is gonna go. We're gonna probably talk a little bit about some obedience today. That feels good. But before we get into what we're talking about, tell the people how you know me. How did we meet?
How do we meet? My God, that story is okay. I think we met on a virtual. So I was doing a virtual session where I was a speaker for one of my coaches at that time, Susie Carter. And after being a speaker, I also believe that you were on the service team for support, sales support, next steps, advocates, whatever we call it at that stage. And
Profit coaches.
profit coaches. All right, great. And I remember schooling you and us having conversations, and you being a little bit nervous about having conversations when it came to sales, and us just really tag teaming and discussing it being next level, and how we can use verbiage, how we can use connectivity to really support people in their next if we believe in what's next for them. So we met through sales, surprisingly enough, and then later on our paths crossed back again together. And I offered you to come to an amazing space in Aruba. You're going through some things in life, and it was a blessing having you there and just watching your growth over time. You've been one of my clients, my sister friends, my support squad, and you have been just obedient in so many different aspects. So I'm so proud of you with this podcast and how you're showing up and serving God.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Um, yeah. So okay. So yeah. So we met.
You
I
might have
guess
a
that would
different
be when we met
story.
the first time. So here's the thing, y'all. Like I knew of Dr. Allie before she knew of me. We were on a session. She was serving on a campus that I was on. And I didn't know exactly what Dr. Allie did because Dr. Allie is a chameleon, right? Like so Dr. Allie does lots of things. Very similar to kind of how I move when people be like, I'm not exactly sure what you do, but can you do this? Yeah, I probably can. But she's a chameleon. She was doing a lot of things. Um, but she popped back up on an entirely different campus, and that was when we met, and she was a speaker. And when she spoke, I was like, "Oh, this is what I need for my business." So what really happened was I got on one of her calls, one of her like discovery calls, and I was like, "Hey, you was talking about this, and this. I need this for my business." She was like, "Where'd you hear that?" And I was told her where I was at. And she was like, you got to do that thing first. And I was like, no, I don't need that. Like, I need this. This is what I need." She was like, "No, out of integrity, this, that, and the third." And it was really interesting to see because I've seen a lot of stuff. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of stuff in these coaching, internet, work out here streets where, sometimes people are not as integrate. But because I was in a different place, she was like, "Yeah, no, it doesn't feel good to me, essentially, for me to jump into her program." And so we wound up doing a different program, which was a great program. It was definitely what we needed, all the things, before I actually came onto her campus. So, yes, lesson number one in integrity. Because how many of y'all know there's some folks that have been like, "Okay, what's your card number?" and took your card number and thought nothing of the other things, right?
Well, it's
So,
important for me to show up in God's image as much as I can. I still work on it each day, and to me, it's do right by others as you want others to do right to you. So I wouldn't want to be on someone's space and they're doing. People come and they poach your spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, that doesn't feel good. So everywhere I go, I try to be within integrity. Integrity is big for me. So I'm glad to hear that that's how you remember me, and or you remember our first meeting, because that's important.
That was definitely one of our first one-on-ones.
How
And
y'all
then
feel about integrity? Put it in the chat. Make sure you guys are still here.
Yes, absolutely. So that was one of our first ones. Okay, lesson number one of today is integrity. We're gonna move from integrity to obedience, and then we gonna keep it pushing. So put integrity in the chat, y'all. Somebody say, let's move in integrity today. Let's move in integrity today. Um, so then we did work on the same campus. I wound up working with volunteering with that in that space, becoming a profit coach, and yeah, and then from then on, like we wound up teamed up. Dr. Ali showed me how to close my first 5-figure sale, and I was like, man, this is this is some insane stuff. And from there, um again, moved on to started working on living on her campus, working on her campus, and then made it to Aruba. Listen, for anybody that knows how much I talk about Aruba, this was the first invitation to this space, right? Was going to Aruba, and um, life changing times. There was a lot of stuff happening. Life was crazy, and that was a wild time. So, and Aruba has since become my favorite place on earth. I love it there. The end. So, with that being said, that is how we met. So today we're talking about thank you, Lena. Let's move integrity. Absolutely. Let's move in integrity. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about obedience. Let's talk. We're gonna talk a little bit. Thank you, Sweeney. Thank you, Sweeney. They coming in this morning. Y'all coming in this morning. Y'all being active at 6 a.m. I appreciate that more than you all will know. Um, so our topic this morning, we're gonna talk about obedience, and we're just gonna talk about it because there was a text this weekend. She said to me, she being Dr. Ali said to me, obedience in overdrive. And it stuck with me. And so I kind of already knew that that's what we were going to talk about today. So the fact that that's where we started this morning is not a surprise. So my question today is I'm gonna pose a question to the audience. What are you doing to be obedient to? Are you being obedient to what God is calling you to do? All right. So when you think of first fruits and obedience, or first fruits in general, Dr. Allen, what do you think about?
Oh, I was waiting for this a question. I was waiting for this dynamic question. I was going to study and do. Oh no, just kidding. My first fruits are definitely what I believe is showing up and making sure that God gets the first of me. Right? I believe everything I am is from Him, and as I get up in the morning, or as I approach every new phase, stage,
Mhm.
time, space, right? It should be led with God. So some people are thinking first fruits in the morning, and I think first fruits should be in every new aspect that you enter into. Like I said, if I'm in someone else's campus, and the first light that people are meeting from me, right? As people meet me, they should see God first. They
Mhm.
should. My first fruits are what I give off, what I give to Him, and to be with Him is to be in reverence. To be with Him is to be in light, and to be in peace, to be in joy. This is what He represents to me as my Father. So my first fruits is not only what I give to Him in the morning, but also what I give to others, how I show up. The first encounter, the first energetic exchange that someone should have of me should be within God, of God, so they can experience His first fruits through me.
I love it. I love it. And
I
it's a
know I would have come with the. I don't think anybody gave that yet.
it's what we talk about, right? It's that whole first fruits being a lifestyle. It is not just and Dawn said it this way: first fruits is not the only fruits you get. Like your morning fruit, the morning thing, the thing you do in the morning, that's not your only fruit. That's not your only harvest. It really is a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle of, like you said, engagement. The first time you come into contact with me, how are you experiencing me? That's the first fruit, right? How many of you have experienced like somebody for the first time and like it really was hard to get past that very first encounter, right? like really hard to get past. And it was a negative encounter. And then so every time you see them since then, like you got to get past that to be able to hear what they got to say, right? And so we want to make sure that as we are like in operation or whatever the case is, that we operate in a way that one feels good, but it also helps other people to receive us well, right? Because the reality is this: as much as we love the Lord, as much as we love God, he sent us down here to work. Like that's the reason we're here. Like we are his hands and his feet, right? Like
Yep.
and Don says it all the time, he has need of us, right? Because we are his workmanship. Like that's what the Bible says, right? It's in there somewhere.
Well, we're a reflection of him, right? And
Absolutely.
it's like when your parents send you out, you are a reflection of your parents. As you come out, you are a reflection of God. So what people should be receiving of you should be his first fruits also. Like they should feel you, feel him through you. And it doesn't have to be the only fruits, but it just has to be one of the things that they should walk away with feeling that, okay, I felt her light, I felt her presence, I felt her joy. She radiates of God.
Absolutely.
And that's not what words. That's not always coming out and screaming and speaking and all these things. That's literally of your being, of your essence. So when I think of first fruits and when I think of obedience, they go hand in hand because my obedience is my first fruits. And it shouldn't just show up in first fruits. People think, okay, people think physical, giving of actual fruit. And
Yeah.
people think giving of the word, of course, yes, being in word. And everyone's gonna have a different connotation to this. And this is why I wanted to come up a little later. So when I come, I'm coming with my perspective, which is always unique and always out there. But there are other people that need to understand that aspect of first fruits being of you. You are of first fruits, and of you is of God. Should be of
Absolutely.
God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Allie coming through with the get down, right, Dawn? Like she came in with the word, okay? I love that though. And I love that we have an opportunity to choose obedience. We have an opportunity to choose obedience. When God tells us to do something, gives
Whew.
us some level of instructions, we have an opportunity to choose whether we are being obedient or not.
Let's talk about those times when we choose not to be obedient. And
Yeah.
then later on, we're like, daggone it, I knew I should have been obedient. Because we try to do us and we try to do all the things that we want to do first. And we hear him whisper, but sometimes our voice gets louder than his, especially when it's out of
Absolutely.
alignment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And choice, like she said, choice goes both ways. Like when we get something, when God has showed us something, or whatever the case is, like we literally either way get to say, yeah, I'm gonna do that, or no, I'm not. Now there are consequences on each side of it, right? There are consequences on both sides, and consequences not always a bad thing. It is just what happens as a result of. Sweeney says it's a lifestyle, it's engagement. We radiate, and it's and a reflection of God, and it's a reflection of God. Absolutely, absolutely. So what is God telling you to do? What is God telling you to do? What is it that you know you need to be doing? What is it that what space is it that you know you need to show up in? What is it that you know you need to be doing at work? Or what is it that you know you need to be doing at home? Wherever it goes, what are those things that God is telling you to do? So I
And,
need y'all to think about that for 1 second.
and can I jump in on that just to add with that, Dr. Joy, since we're so in alignment? Uh,
Mhm,
what is he? How? So I get this question a lot, and
mhm.
we have a lot of people from different spaces here. How do you know is God whispering to you?
Yeah, yeah,
That's the main question that I get from.
yeah.
I'm a minister in the streets, y'all. I'm the one in the street talking. You gonna find me in the church quoting scriptures. I'm the
I'm a
reflection. I'm the
minister in
one.
the
I get
street.
a lot of these questions like, how do you know is God speaking to you versus you speaking to yourself? How
Hmm.
do you know you're being obedient? Because sometimes we feel like we're being obedient, but were we really listening to Him? Did we really hear from Him, or is it from us? And then we say that's of God.
Right.
How do you, and I'm asking this question out there, and because we have lots of different people, whoever's catching this on replay, hashtag replay and answer, let us know, what is it that, how do you know when you hear, what decides for you, what if your whisper is of God or if it's of not?
What decides for you if your whisper is of God or if it's not? How do you hear God? How do you know when it's the voice of God? So I personally love this question because one of the things that I do is teach people how to hear from God, right? Because it's all about being still, it's all about listening, it's all about hearing and all those things. And what I get, how I get it is, how do I know it's not just me making that up? How do I know that it's not just me hearing it? And here is one almost sure fail test to know whether or not it is God or whether it's you. And as I ask myself, I ask this question: would you have thought of that? And most of the time, probably 90% of the time, you would not have thought of that in the way that it came to you, right? And so it's God's like nugget or God's little whisper to us that's like, here's the next thing, or here's the move, or here's the whatever the space is. So literally weighing that question is one of those things. But when we get it and when we hear it, what makes you choose obedience? That's a real question.
Okay, so for me, I've been disobedient so much. I told my people I don't want no more lashes. I'm that one that thought I know everything, think I know everything. I've been in that since I was a kid, since my mother was telling me to do things. And once I turned into the age where I realized I was smart, I started to believe that I was smarter than my father. I mean, than my mother and my father. And there are times I believed at that time, and I'm being fully transparent, that I was smarter than him. Now, I'm not saying it out loud, but in my mind, I'm like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of my lack of obedience, or being obedient to the wrong thing, and wrong at that time, I can't really say it's wrong, just not being obedient to God, my disobedience. Later on, the answers will show why I shouldn't have did that. Like, you heard you shouldn't have did that. You heard when I was getting married, I heard literally the day before I was getting ready to walk down that I should not have got married. I literally heard it. And meanwhile, I'm here sitting down thinking, but the people are here and they all paid to come, and I had them all come to this specific place, and I spent all this money. So here I am having this conversation, and I hear that really clear voice that's telling me, Allie, this is not right. This does not feel right for your next step. I'm over talking him in my head with the physical things around. And that's when I began to hear. And that was just one major example that I'm bringing up.
It's
And
a huge example.
it's a because that's when I began to realize later on, I was like, you heard God. Why you
Mm-hmm.
listen? Like, it would have cost you. So
Yeah.
you thinking the immediate cost of people coming, and that, and not realizing, okay, now the years of your life invested into this. And I'm not knocking it. A lot was done through it. I'm grateful for it. I just know now to be still and to be
Yeah.
okay with things that are not what I would do, like you said, like the physical me, the well, now it's more in alignment, right? As I
Mm-hmm.
began to listen more, and to gain more obedience, it became a lot easier to hear him. I now have systems and strategies, as I say. I now have places, like I know when I go to Aruba, I get some stillness. I now know to take stillness during the day. I now know how to start my morning in prayer and meditation. I now know how to allocate the time. I did not do that before. I
Mm-hmm.
prayed, but I never listened. I said a lot of words, but I never stopped to hear what to do. I prayed, and then I answered the prayers.
She said, I prayed, but I never listened. I was looking for something. I got an ink pen. I was looking for something to write it on. I prayed, but I never listened. And then she talked
It's a
about,
whole
oh,
thing,
it
Dawn.
is. And she said, over talking God is a real thing. Oh my God, it is such a real thing. How often do we get instructions and then we come up with all these things, reasons, and spaces why we should do something different or shouldn't do the thing, whatever the case is? We got to get, it's so important for us to get still, but also listen. And then one step past listening is doing what we hear, because we can hear it and then say or not, I'm sorry, not say or do what is supposed to be said or done, and then we're still in the same spot as if we didn't hear it. And then we come back and I can tell y'all a million stories about how I had heard something and then came back and was like, ooh, like you said, I knew that this wasn't going to happen. I knew it was supposed to be something different, but decided to go, but made a choice to go down a different path. And
It's not my perspective about that doing part. I had
mhm,
to shift my perspective because I thought God just told us things. And I thought he
Mhm.
just had words. Like I mean, I literally was really watching like the 12 Commandments and listening to people in church and just hearing and God said. But what I had to learn is not only that God says, God does. And if
Period.
we're going to be reflection of Him, we have to say and do. We can't just be out here saying, because God, if we're being reflection, true reflection, then we got to understand that we have a being God, we have a stillness God, and we have a very, very active God, because He made a lot of things and He makes a lot of things happen on the daily basis. So we can't say we're being a reflection and we sitting there meditating and in stillness for 100 days, 2 days, 2 years, 3 years, talking about you still being in stillness,
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
that's what He told you. Like, I'm not going against that, but somewhere in there, I know God's going to tell you to get up and do something.
Somewhere God is going to tell you to move. Somewhere God is going to tell you to move. There's a that's and it's funny that you say that, because that's word right there. That's scripture. Be doers of the word and not hearers only, right?
Oh,
So
tell them
it's
people.
not it's not a say only, right? That's from James 1:22 ish. I think it's 22 through, just let's go with 22. But you're gonna get the hearers and doers around with James 1 and 22. So like, yeah, you can't just not do. Like you can't just not move. There is a time to be still, and sometimes the stillness is doing. Been telling everybody, like, I had a shutdown this year, had to stop, had to be still, had to get in a space. Like, y'all didn't hear a lot from me at the beginning of the year for a reason, because I was going through a level of transformation that took me, God, and the inner circle that He has blessed me with. That's it. Like, I could not be out, you know what I'm saying? Because I needed to be still, right? And so she said the prayer and answered the prayer. Listen, we got to make sure that we are praying and pausing, okay? And not answering the prayer that, we're praying to God, because that's where, how many of you have ever done? I know we've all done it in some form or fashion, right? Um, where we're answering our own questions, right? And so one of the things that I know that God is asking for us is obedience. He just wants us to, like, He wants relationship with us, and He wants us to do what He say do in His word.
I
He
mean,
gives
think
us
about
His
any
word.
parent. You think the parent is just saying it? When the parent says it, and they want you to do it, they don't just want you to just listen and just, okay, I'm just going to listen forever. If it's a father, it's if and the father, our father, the only daddy, right, the main one.
The only daddy.
Obviously, within it, there is a space where He wants us to do, and He wants us to be obedient, which means if I say do, like, you shouldn't be sitting there questioning me. Like, this is how I was raised with my family. My mother's like, if I told you this, then why are you sitting there questioning me? Like, I obviously told you this because it's coming out of discernment. It's coming out of my experience. It's coming out of what I know is good for you, especially if you have a parent that, that you trust. But we know the ultimate parent that we should trust is God. And that's the problem, because a lot of us, and here's what I'm going to really break this down,
Oh,
because we were disobedient to our physical parents, right? We learn disobedience so early because we so trying to be ourselves and trying to be independent and trying to be within our own self. And there's nothing wrong with that, because our God also teaches us how to think for ourselves and how to do for ourselves. But we're so busy um, being that as a child and growing up, and then having some sort of resentment slash um, we start doing it. Here's another thing, and I'm just grabbing on that. We will do it, but we'll do it with a certain level of resentment. And then not
oh,
realizing that this is,
oh.
even though our first experience with father, with God, is of our physical parents, because we're babies, we don't know the other spiritual world yet. So this is where we first learn our disobedience with no at 2, we're no, don't touch this, no, right? So we're here saying this and practicing this early, not realizing that as we grow up as adults, we transcend some of the same no that we did to our physical parents to God, and not realize that we're doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
disobedience starts from young. And when we're not learning obedience the way that we should, or we're being slightly disobedient when we're young, when we get old and I like to say hardback, our disobedience kicks back in again. We don't want anyone else telling us what to do, but I
Period.
know what I want for myself. Not realizing
Period.
that the ultimate Father, He's the one that's orchestrating everything, and if He shuts everything down, then there is no chance to be obedient or disobedient. So our growth in life is truly to learn how to be obedient, to practice obedience, to use the word, to use our psych, our community, to use spaces that we can learn how to be truly obedient to God and less to man.
Man, listen. Dr. Ali has said a
I'm sorry.
mouthful there.
Y'all
No,
woke
no,
me
I
up
love it.
early.
I am here for
Y'all
it.
woke me up.
Listen. That's 6 a.m. hour. Got you, okay? Basically, what I got out of that is how we do a
And
thing
you gonna get
matters.
that, Celia, real talk.
How we obey matters. It matters how we do the thing. It matters. You do it all grudgingly, mad, like like nobody wants that. Like nobody wants that. Like God doesn't want that from us. Like God, that's why it says He loves a cheerful giver. He loves somebody who's gonna do it and want to do it. Like I don't want you like messing up my vibe because you out here cutting. No, how we do it matters, right? And so yes, I absolutely love that. We getting we didn't hit the 30-minute mark already. We getting ready to wrap this thing up. Dr. Ali, I want you to come with your last word for the people, but but I want you to come right after these quick announcements, because this church, and so we got to have our Sunday morning announcements. We got some right, we got some stuff coming up. Got some stuff dropping. I wrote a book, y'all. It's called Leveraging Hope. And that book is dropping very, very soon. So
Wait,
y'all
what's
gotta
the name
stay
of the
tuned.
book?
It's called Leveraging Hope.
Y'all, could y'all type that
Because
down in the chat, please? Leveraging Hope, so she can see it and hear it. Y'all gotta scream it back at her, please.
So leveraging hope, because what I believe, one of the ways God has blessed me is to be able to bring people hope. Right. I am a hope cultivator. I am clear that is what people feel when they've been in my presence, whether I'm serving or leading. It is like this notion of hope, because I believe whether we're at the lowest low or the highest high, there's always more. And hope for me stands for honest observation and practical execution. And so today we've been talking about obedience. And so before we leave, we're going to have our final word on our honest observation and practical execution. But that was just so that you all will stay tuned to. Oh, y'all all wrote it in the chat. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you. That threw me off. Doggone it. So anyways, the book is coming at some point. It's coming. And also it's my birthday season, and so I'm doing a giveaway. We're giving away 10 of the Launch the Legacy books. We are down to, I think we got 3 books left. Launch the Legacy. Dr. Ali is the visionary author of said book. Of said book. And I wrote chapter one, and that chapter is entitled Finally Living Your Dreams. Finally Living Your Dreams. And it's a bunch of other authors that are in with us in this anthology. But I'm giving that book away. And if you want that book, I just need you to put in the chat, I want that book. Just tell me that you want it, and I am mailing it out to you. I'm mailing it to you. We'll get it out this week.
Wait, Joy, if they put a number 1 today, I'll try and make sure I get some that I sign. At least let me get a signature in there, and have maybe a few authors. So I'll get one of the ones out with some of the authors and a signature. It won't come next week, but it will come soon. But just know that it's a really, really great book on obedience, really, because it's literally 12 authors. Is it 12 or 15?
15. It's a bunch of people. I don't know. It's a bunch of
14 other authors, and they're sharing their story on how they overcome the challenges in their life as they began to launch their brand and be obedient to what God has them, because all of them are purpose-driven businesses that have launched based on many years of not launching and hearing God tell you to do certain things and them not doing it, and then us getting together and supporting each other in the process of walking in the path that God has for them. But they share their disobedience and they share their challenges, which are things that we have to go through to get us to the other side. So if you're out there questioning, what do you do and how do you take this message that God has given you to really take it out there to the world? then you'll definitely see one or a few of the stories that resonates with your life, and amplifies how you show up in his reflection, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so yes, so that's the giveaway. That's happening because I like to give away stuff for my birthday. So once we get those next 3 now out or 4 out, oh, Sweeney is getting that book. All right, perfect. Sweeney, I see you. I will get with you. I'll send you a message to get your address and we'll get that book out to you. We'll make sure you get that and you'll get the signed copy. So we'll make sure that Sweeney gets the signed copy. Let me write that down so I will make sure I know how to
Yeah,
get
we'll
that
try
to
and
you.
get at least 3 authors. So Joy, myself, and I'll see whoever I have around me, or I probably have a few with a few signatures in them already.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I know E probably can get some too because she's been on the show. So yeah, you guys have seen some of the authors and we'll see a couple more, I think. So yeah, so that's happening. So we're getting a couple of those books away. Um, so Sweeney, we got you.
Good morning, son.
And then um
It's my
la-
life.
it's fine. We're good with it. The final thing that we have, final announcement. We still got the Aruba retreat coming up. If you are feeling led, 4 nights in Aruba, 10-3 to 10-7. Make sure that you screenshot this right now. Take your second, screenshot this,
Can I
and then
jump in on this too, Joy? Like literally, bring that picture back up.
yes,
Literally, this is where we go for that stillness space. This is where right here at this water, Dr. Joy has heard God, has rejuvenated her mind, body, and soul, as well as many other amazing vessels and beings. And I believe this will help someone who's at that space right now, because it's a really last minute type of thing, because it's literally right around the corner. We're counting down to that. But if
mhm,
you feel you're in a space that, you're not hearing, right? Because this is full transparency. This isn't in any hidden space. I think a lot of us still question, are we hearing of God or not hearing from him? And if you want to pause the world for 4 days and just step aside and actually have that moment where you can truly hear him, so you can step out in this year or step into next year the way that you feel like, I'm gonna step forward more confidently. A reason a lot of us are not very confident is because we question whether it is of him or is not of him. Because if it's of him, even though we may not like it, we're going to be doing it confidently, right?
mhm,
So
yes,
if you want that space, if you're looking for that space to truly realign, to set yourself aside from the regular busyness of life, then this retreat is absolutely for you. The fact that you're here, most likely God is speaking to you in your ears, letting you know something, whether it's this one or something else that's related. But be obedient, like, and
yeah,
speak to Dr. Joy if it's a case of, you should be there but you're not sure how, because that's another thing of obedience, right? Because God's going to tell us to do these things and we be like, but wait a minute, God, I don't know how. What do you mean I should go have this? I don't know. Yeah, right, Lena, I know I'm speaking to somebody. I know I should be doing something, but I have no clue how, because God be giving us these things, right? And I know I'm speaking to somebody because I'm speaking to myself.
yeah.
And I'm gonna go a little extra for this because I'm up, and if I'm up, y'all gonna be up. We up. Type down, we up.
You up, we up.
Because I want to make sure that the message get delivered, because he's giving it to me. I didn't plan anything for this session. I'm literally going based on what I'm hearing from him tell you, and it literally, it literally, stop. It literally is when we stop to allow ourselves to truly hear from him. And it requires at times disconnecting ourselves away from the world, which is why we do Aruba so many oftentimes, because it happens there. That place is blessed. For some reason, it has a magical sprinkly. It says one happy island, and we feel it as soon as we get there. As soon as you get off the airplane, your fingers, your hair on your skin start standing up. Everyone's super happy, and you just like, okay, God, this is of you. It just resonates of you. But besides that, being with at the retreat and being led by a spiritual leader that's helping you to navigate the space, because you're going to start questioning yourself. Wait a minute, did I hear him or is it me again? Did I hear him or is it me again? And she'll walk through some of these things with you, so that when you leave, you're not questioning what you got to do.
Mhm.
And the how will show up in accordance to your activist, to your moving, to your action. So you won't be questioning the how so much. You won't be questioning, oh my God, is it of him? You won't be questioning. You'll be like this. You'll be like moving, moving. You see how I come on and I'm moving? I have this level of, I don't know, it's weird.
Hype.
I have it. But it is of him because I'm not questioning what's gonna come out my mouth. I'm
Yeah.
not questioning
Yeah.
my actions and how I'm gonna show up. Because I know it's of him. I've heard he's saying, I'm going to speak to you. I'm not asking for 100% of me being 100% perfect because I realize I am imperfect.
Period.
And God made me imperfect. So I love that aspect of our relationship. And he allows me and forgives me for when I am not imperfect. Thank you, Father. I'm working on being better every single day. But my question and my actions and the reason we're able to do so much and help so many more, somebody type that more, because some of us feel like we're helping, but we're still limited in how we're helping. We have so much more, and through that more is through our alignment and our obedience. So obedience will get you to where you need to go. That's all I got.
Oh, listen, y'all. Obedience will get you to where you need to go. Okay, listen, and seriously, and this ain't just because I'm doing the retreat or whatever the case is. It's happening regardless, and
Whether
so
y'all show up or not,
it's happening.
she has her more to do.
Period. And here's the thing: don't think for 1 minute that I'm here for it. You know, I'm here for it. I love every second of it. Okay. Don't think for 1 minute. Do not think for 1 minute that we are not ready and waiting for you, and we have not prepared what God has for you. So I know if you're hearing this, and if you are hearing that this is something that you want to do, listen, have the conversation. It don't cost you nothing to have a conversation, right? So we got that coming up 10-3 to 10-7. Dr. Allie has some stuff coming up on her campus. Definitely on Wednesdays at 5:30. If you're looking for life and biz tips, she's it's Zoom. Is it Zoom? It's Zoom. It's a Zoom every morning, every Wednesday. If you're interested, wow, Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's coming up for her. I don't know. Is Morocco sold out?
Yes, Morocco is sold out.
Morocco sold out, y'all. Sorry. There's no,
I need to focus first on Aruba.
there's no chances for that. I was just giving the things that are coming up in our daily announcements. We talk about everybody's everything, right? And lastly, if you want to be on the First Fruits podcast, there's a couple of slots left, I believe, on the calendar. Hit me up and say I want to be on the show, and you want to be on the show. We get you a link, and then you'll be here and be my guest that morning. So that's it. Those are our morning announcements. Govern yourselves accordingly. And we about to get out of here. The day is starting. We talked about obedience, honest observation. Dr. Allie, give us our final way that we can get honest with ourselves about obedience, get honest with ourselves about, are we doing what God has called us to do? Get what questions do we need to ask ourselves, and then give us one practical execution. Hope is honest observation and practical execution. What's one honest observation and one simple thing that we can do to ensure that we remain in obedience?
All right. Am I showing up for who God has aligned for me? Am I showing up with who God has assigned for me? Am I showing up is the base question. Am I showing up? That's the question you ask yourself. That's the question I ask myself. That's the question that helps me to get into practical execution. It's comfortable for me not to show up. It's comfortable for me to lay in bed today. This morning is comfortable. Excuse me. Y'all know I have a Caribbean accent, so every once in a while it shows up. It's more comfort for me to lay in bed and do my meditation, do my prayer, do my word by myself. It's uncomfortable for me to show up and now speak to people at 6 a.m. in the morning. But I can't be of that person. If I didn't show up, then Cledia wouldn't hear what she needed to hear. Lena wouldn't hear what she needed to hear. Dawn wouldn't hear what she needed to hear. And whoever else is also out there that I cannot see wouldn't hear what they need to hear, who I'm assigned and aligned to. If you're not showing up, I'm gonna say Minister Joy, just literally because you don't like it, but she is, right? Literally just did an invitation to her podcast, right? To show up, and there's slots available. You're here, you're up. Obviously, you're up. especially for those CD. I believe I would love to see you as a guest one day. I don't know who you are, where you are, what you are, but if you're showing up to listen, then you're showing up to share. And a lot of us think that it's great to look at other people doing it, not realizing that the reason he's presenting us in front of spaces to see it is because he also wants us to do it. Now, it doesn't have to be the
Help the people,
same
Allie.
doing
Help
it.
the people.
It doesn't have to be the same doing it. So that's the question that's going to jump in your head. But I can't
Yeah.
look like her. I can't look like her. I can't talk like her. He never asked you to be me. He never asked you to be
Period.
someone else. He asked you to show up as you because you have who you need to speak to, who's aligned and assigned to you. So these invitations, whether it's to Aruba, whether it's why I'm so powerful and why I'm so passionate about next levels and next steps, and people will assign that as sales, and it's not always sales, it's just next levels and next steps. It's why you're here is because you're here now, but what about next? And next involves you. Next doesn't just involve watching people. Next involves being the person.
Being the person. And so you've heard it. You heard it right here on the Hope and Her podcast. Listen, are you being obedient to those that God has assigned to you? Are you being obedient to show up, rather, for those that God has assigned to you? Listen, somebody's freedom is tied up in your obedience. Somebody's movement may be tied up in your obedience. You're doing it. You're saying it. You're being it. Somebody's life, these life changing measures can be tied up in whether or not I showed up to this. And I will tell you, in the mornings, like baby, I can tell you, it's been a few mornings more than not that I've been like, ooh, including this one, that I was like, I don't know if I got it in me. But showing up, I know by the comments that I did the right thing, right? And so, are you showing up? Ask yourself that question. Get honest with yourself. Are you really showing up 100%? Not even 100%, 80%, 90% for those people that God has assigned to you? Because you can always get 1% better. But just show up. Show up with what you got. Get it done over perfection, right? Like get it done over perfection. And the practical execution is just doing what you know that God has told you to do. If you know it's that God has told you to do it, be it. All right. Do it, be it. That's it. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. That is it. That is all. You all be well. Bye.
Right?